Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today we're diving deep into the story of this coin, where it came from, how it became one of the rarest coins in American history, and how you can tell if you might be holding one of these million-dollar treasures. Let's start with a little history. The Lincoln penny, also known as the Lincoln cent, was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. Over the decades, this small copper coin has gone through a few design changes, but the 1969 version looks almost identical to the pennies we use today. So how can something so ordinary become worth millions? The key lies in one rare and incredible minting error known as the 1969 double die obverse penny. That's a fancy way of saying that the front of the coin, the side with Lincoln's face, was accidentally struck twice by the minting machine, slightly off alignment. This caused the words and details to appear doubled, especially the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year, 1969. These doubling errors were not supposed to happen, but when they did, they created some of the most valuable coins in U.S. history, but the story doesn't end there. When collectors first discovered these coins in the early 1970s, the U.S. Secret Service thought they were fakes. In fact, they confiscated several examples and destroyed them because they believed counterfeiters had made them using fake dies. It wasn't until experts confirmed that these coins were genuine U.S. mint errors that the surviving pieces became legendary among coin collectors. What makes this coin so special is not just the doubling, it's the combination of rarity, history, and mystery. The S mint mark below the date stands for San Francisco, where the coin was minted. Most pennies from 1969 are common and worth just 1 cent, but the ones with the clear double die error and the San Francisco mint mark are incredibly rare. Experts estimate that fewer than 100 genuine examples exist in the entire world. Now let's talk about the money. One of these 1969 double die pennies was sold at auction for over $126,000, and that was years ago. As of today, collectors believe that the highest grade versions could easily reach or even exceed $9 million in value if one appeared in perfect mint condition. Imagine that, a 1-cent coin turning into a fortune worth millions. That's why this penny has become known as the $9 million penny, but how can you tell if you might have one? Here's what to look for. First, the date should read 1969 with a small S mint mark under it. Second, look closely at the lettering on the front. If you see strong doubling in the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," that's a huge clue. The doubling on real examples is sharp and noticeable even without magnification. If you spot that, don't clean the coin or try to polish it. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges and have it authenticated by a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. They can confirm whether it's a genuine double die penny and tell you exactly how much it's worth. Even if you don't find the ultra-rare 1969 double die version, some 1969 pennies can still be valuable. For example, coins in uncirculated condition or proof versions from San Francisco can sell for a few dollars up to a few hundred depending on the grade and color. Red uncirculated coins are the most desirable because they've retained their bright copper shine. Collectors often say that the hunt is part of the excitement. The idea that a small, forgotten coin in your jar of change could turn into a life-changing discovery keeps people searching every day. It's a reminder that treasures are still out there, waiting to be found, and they might just be hiding in your pocket. So the next time you get change at the grocery store or find an old penny lying around, take a closer look. If it's a 1969 penny with an S mint mark and doubling on the letters, you might be looking at one of the most valuable coins ever made. Who knows, you could be holding the next $9 million penny, and remember, every coin has a story. The 1969 Lincoln penny started as just another coin rolling off the presses of the San Francisco Mint, but because of one small error, it became a legend. Today it stands as a symbol of how something ordinary can become extraordinary, and how history can hide in the smallest details. We are diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in American coin collecting history, the 1967 Lincoln penny, a small copper coin that has stirred up massive buzz across the internet with claims that some examples are worth up to $8 million. Is it true? Could one penny from 1967 really be worth that much? Let's find out together to understand why this coin is so interesting. We first have to go back to the year 1967 itself. It was a time of change in America. The Vietnam War was underway. The Beatles were at the top of the charts and the U.S. Mint was facing serious problems with coin shortages. Just a few years earlier, the country experienced a national coin shortage that caused people to hoard coins in hopes that silver or copper prices would rise. To combat this, the U.S. Mint stopped placing mint marks on coins between 1965 and 1967. That means no Denver D or San Francisco S. Mint marks were used. Every penny struck in 1967 looks the same on the surface, only the year and the famous bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The 1967 penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. It weighs 3.11 grams and has a plain edge. Over 3 billion of them were made that year, so it's not a rare coin in terms of mintage numbers, but collectors know that not all coins are created equal, and that's where things get interesting. Most 1967 pennies you find in pocket change are worth just 1 cent, maybe 2 or 3 cents for their copper melt value if you could melt them, which you legally can't. But certain examples, those struck with exceptional quality or with minting errors, can sell for impressive amounts. One of the most valuable versions of the 1967 Lincoln penny is the one graded in high mint state condition by professional grading services. A 1967 penny graded MS67 by PCGS or NGC can fetch hundreds of dollars. In 2017, a nearly perfect red-toned example sold for more than $2,000. The shine, the luster, the lack of scratches or contact marks make these coins stand out among billions. But what about the $8 million claim? Where did that come from? In recent years, social media posts and online videos have gone viral showing ordinary-looking 1967 pennies with captions saying they are worth up to $8 million. Most of those stories are exaggerated or entirely false. No verified auction record exists of any 1967 penny selling for anywhere near that amount. However, there are extremely rare mint error coins that can sell for thousands, and that's where collectors' excitement comes from. Some of the known 1967 penny errors include double die obverse varieties where parts of the lettering like Liberty or In God We Trust appear doubled. There are also off-center strikes, broad strikes, and coins struck on wrong planchets. For example, if a 1967 penny was accidentally struck on a dime planchet made of copper nickel, that coin would be dramatically smaller and lighter. Such an error could be worth several $1,000s depending on condition and demand. Another interesting detail is that 1967 was a transition year for proof coins. The mint produced special mint sets instead of traditional proof sets. These coins often have a distinctive satin-like finish. High-grade examples from these special sets can be quite valuable, especially if they display deep cameo contrast or mirror-like surfaces. So while the average 1967 penny might only be worth a cent or two, certain rare examples, especially those with major minting errors or flawless conditions, can reach values from a few $100 to a few $1,000s. Not $8 million, but still impressive for a single cent coin minted almost 60 years ago. If you are lucky enough to have a 1967 penny, here's what you should do. First, examine it carefully under a good light or magnifying glass. Look for doubling on the letters. Look for off-center designs or unusual coloring. If it appears to be an exceptional shape with strong red copper luster, you may want to have it graded by a professional service. The cost of grading is worth it only if your coin is in top condition or clearly shows a mint error. Another factor that adds to the fascination is the coin's place in Lincoln cent history. The design by Victor David Brenner featuring President Abraham Lincoln has been used since 1909. The reverse in 1967 still had the wheat ears, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959. That design lasted until 2008, when the U.S. Mint introduced the Lincoln Bicentennial Series. So the 1967 penny sits right in the middle of one of America's longest-running coin designs. Let's talk about current market value as of today. A circulated 1967 penny found in pocket change is worth about 1 cent. An uncirculated red example might bring around 50 cents to a dollar. High-grade mint state 67 red coins certified by PCGS or NGC sell between $100 and $500. Exceptional examples, especially from special mint sets, can sell for up to $2,000 or slightly more. But remember, any online post or listing claiming a common 1967 penny is Worth millions is simply misinformation or an attempt to get attention. Collectors often joke that the real treasure is knowledge. Understanding how to spot true rarity and quality is what separates a 1-cent coin from a $1,000 coin. So if you are a new collector, don't fall for viral videos claiming you can retire from a single penny, but do keep an eye on your change, because genuine mint errors and rare varieties are out there, waiting to be found. Before we wrap up, let's summarize the key points. The 1967 Lincoln penny was struck without mint marks due to the coin shortage crisis. Over 3 billion were made. Most are common and worth face value. High-grade examples certified as MS67 or higher can be worth hundreds or more. Special mint set versions with deep cameo finishes can reach several thousand. No confirmed 1967 penny has ever sold for $8 million, but the story continues to capture the imagination of collectors everywhere. So the next time you see a shiny old penny with the date 1967, hold on to it, inspect it, learn from it, because even if it's not worth millions, it represents a piece of American history, and sometimes that's worth even more than money. We are diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in modern American history, the 1980 Lincoln penny. This small copper coin has created huge excitement in the world of numismatics, with stories claiming it could be worth as much as $7 million under the right circumstances. So, is it true? What makes this penny so special? And how can you tell if you have one that might be worth a fortune? Stay tuned, because by the end of this video you will know everything about this rare coin and what to look for in your own collection. The beginning of the 1980 penny. The 1980 Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, Colorado. The D mint mark below the date tells you that in that year, the United States Mint produced more than 5.1 billion pennies in Denver alone. On the surface, that makes it sound like the 1980 penny is very common, and yes, most of them are. They were struck from 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, just like pennies from earlier years before 1982, when the composition changed to mostly zinc. But here's where the story starts to get interesting. Among the billions of ordinary coins, a few rare errors and varieties were created that made certain 1980 pennies extremely valuable. Why the 1980 penny became so famous in the coin collecting world. Even the smallest error can turn an everyday coin into a valuable collectible. Some 1980 Lincoln pennies show double die errors, off-center strikes, or other rare minting mistakes. When these are in top condition, meaning uncirculated and perfectly preserved, collectors are willing to pay huge amounts of money. Over the years, rumors and verified auction results have made headlines, claiming that some 1980 Lincoln pennies have sold for thousands, and in rare circumstances, one has been reported as fetching an unbelievable $7 million. While that figure is debated, it illustrates the incredible interest and demand for this specific year and mint mark. Design and historical background. The 1980 penny features the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and has been a lasting symbol of American history and leadership. The reverse side, showing the Lincoln Memorial, was designed by Frank Gasparo and used from 1959 to 2008. The design itself does not make the coin valuable, but its condition, minting errors, and metal composition all play major roles in determining worth. Because the 1980 penny was still made from mostly copper, its melt value alone is higher than that of modern zinc pennies. That means even a regular 1980 penny is technically worth more than 1 cent just in metal value, though it is illegal to melt pennies for profit. The error coins that changed everything. Now let's talk about the true stars of this story. Certain 1980 pennies show what collectors call double die obverse errors. This happens when the coin die imprints the design twice slightly offset, creating a visible doubling effect on the lettering or numbers, such as the date or the word Liberty. Other rare varieties include off-center strikes where the design is not properly aligned, and transitional errors where the coin was accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchet. These mistakes make each coin unique and can increase value from a few $100s to tens of thousands or even more. In perfect condition, graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, these coins can fetch extraordinary sums at auction. And that's where the myth or reality of the $7 million penny comes in. Some collectors claim that an ultra-rare variety, combined with pristine condition and historical significance, pushed one sale into the multi-million-dollar range. How to identify a valuable 1980 penny? If you want to know whether your 1980 Lincoln penny is special, We are talking about one coin that has taken the coin collecting world by storm, the 1981 Lincoln penny, a coin that looks ordinary to most people but could actually be worth up to $6 million according to some incredible market reports and collector stories. Let us go back in time to the year 1981. The United States was changing fast. Ronald Reagan had just become president. The economy was struggling and inflation was pushing prices higher. Meanwhile, the United States Mint in Denver was busy producing billions of Lincoln cents. Each of these coins carried the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, the same design that has been used since 1909. Now, what makes the 1981 penny so fascinating is that it was among the very last pennies to be made from mostly copper. Before 1982, pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but in 1982 the mint switched to a cheaper composition of 97.5% zinc with just a thin copper coating. Because of that, the 1981 penny represents the final chapter of the full copper era. But how could a common penny become worth millions? It all comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, mint errors, and collector demand. Some of these coins were struck with incredible precision and remain in pristine mint state condition even after more than 4 decades when certified by professional grading services. These high-grade examples can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. However, there are also rumors and stories in the collector community about ultra-rare varieties or experimental coins that were struck using special planchets or unique die combinations. Some experts claim that a small batch of 1981 pennies may have been made with experimental alloys or misaligned dies, creating what are known as transitional errors. These kinds of minting mistakes are so rare that when discovered they can sell for astronomical prices. Imagine finding a coin that cost you only 1 cent but turns out to be worth $6 million. That is the dream that keeps treasure hunters and collectors searching through rolls of old pennies every single day. Now let us look at some historical background. The Denver Mint produced over 5 billion pennies in 1981. That is a huge number, which means most of them are still common in circulation, but not all of them are created equal. The rarest and most valuable examples are those graded at the top of the scale, such as MS-68 or MS-69 by the Professional Coin Grading Service or the Numismatic Guarantee Company. These grades mean the coin has nearly flawless surfaces and sharp details with full mint luster. A normal circulated 1981 penny might only be worth 1 or 2 cents due to its copper content, but an uncirculated high-grade example can reach prices between $200,000 and $5,000 depending on the market. Now here is where the legend of the $6 million penny comes in. Several news stories and online coin communities have mentioned that a few 1981 Lincoln cents with rare double die obverse errors or experimental metallic composition have reportedly sold for extreme prices in private auctions. The exact details are hard to verify since such transactions often occur between private collectors, but even the rumor of a multi-million-dollar sale is enough to send collectors racing to check their coin jars. So what should you look for if you have a 1981 penny in your collection? First, check the condition. If it is shiny bright red and shows know where you might have something valuable. Next, look closely under magnification at the letters "In Liberty" or "In God We Trust" or the date itself. If you notice any doubling or unusual texture, you could be looking at a double die variety. Also check for off-center strikes or planchet errors where the metal blank might have been improperly shaped during minting. Collectors also love coins with strong eye appeal, which means bright color, even toning, and clean surfaces. So if you ever find a 1981 penny that looks absolutely perfect, you might want to have it graded by a professional service. Grading costs a bit of money, but it can turn your coin from a curiosity into a verified treasure. Over the years, the Lincoln cent has remained one of America's favorite coins. It is small, simple, and full of history. Every design detail, from the image of Abraham Lincoln to the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, tells a story of American pride and change. The 1981 penny captures the end of the Copper Age before the mint switched to zinc, which makes it historically significant. So can a 1981 penny really be worth $6 million? In theory, yes, if it is one of those unique error coins, or if it has a combination of perfect condition, historical importance, and collector hype. While most examples are worth only a few cents, there is always that rare 1 in a billion coin that captures attention and breaks record. Stories like these remind us that treasure is often hidden in plain sight. Sometimes all it takes is curiosity, a magnifying glass, and a bit of luck to turn an ordinary penny into a life-changing discovery. So next time you find some spare change in your car, your couch, or your wallet, take a moment to check those dates, because you never know, you might just be holding a $6 million penny. We are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and mysterious coins in American history, the 1982 Lincoln penny. Yes, the small copper coin sitting in your old change jar could be worth an unbelievable amount of money. some collectors and experts claim that certain versions of this coin have sold for more than $5 million. So what makes this tiny coin so special? Let's explore its history, its hidden secrets, and how to identify if you might own one of the rarest pennies ever. Produced by the United States Mint. First, let's start with the background. In 1982, the United States Mint made a major change to the composition of the Lincoln cent. For many decades before that year, pennies were made mostly of copper. Each coin contained about 95% copper and 5% zinc. But the price of copper began to rise dramatically in the late 1970s and early 1980s. It soon cost more to make a penny than the coin was actually worth. Because of this, the mint decided to switch the metal composition from mostly copper to a copper-plated zinc planchet. That means the new pennies were made of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper coating. This was a huge change in the history of the Lincoln penny. Now here is where things get interesting. During this transition period in 1982, the mint produced coins in both copper and zinc compositions. There were also two different font styles for the date, one with a larger number style and one with a smaller number style. This created a total of 7 different varieties of the 1982 penny, but the one that truly captures the attention of collectors is the 1982 D small date copper penny. The letter D under the date means the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. According to the Mint's official records, all 1982 D pennies were supposed to be made of the new zinc composition. However, somehow, at least one or possibly a few copper planchets were left over from earlier production and accidentally struck with the 1982 D small date design. That mistake created one of the rarest coins in modern U.S. history. The 1982 D small date copper penny was not known to exist until years later when a collector discovered it by testing coins with a simple method. A regular zinc penny from that year weighs about 2.5 grams, while a copper penny weighs about 3.1 grams. That difference might sound tiny, but with a precise scale you can easily tell them apart. So when collectors found a 1982 D small date penny that weighed around 3.1 grams, they knew they had something extraordinary. This discovery sent shockwaves through the coin collecting world. Experts authenticated the coin, confirming that it was indeed made of copper and struck in Denver with the small date variety. Only one confirmed example has been graded and certified by the Professional Coin Grading Service, also known as PCGS, because of its extreme rarity and historical importance. The estimated value of that coin is around $1 million. However, some numismatists believe that if another one ever appeared on the market, it could easily reach or even exceed $5 million in a private sale. Why would a penny be worth that much? The answer lies in rarity, demand, and history. Collectors around the world are fascinated by transitional error coins. These are coins struck when the mint is switching from one composition to another, and mistakes happen when leftover planchets are accidentally used. Examples include the famous 1943 copper penny and the 1944 steel penny, both worth thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars today. The 1982 D copper penny follows the same pattern, but it is even newer, which means more collectors can relate to it and more people are hunting for it. So how can you find out if you have one? Here's what to do. First, look for a 1982 penny with the letter D below the date, then check the size of the date. The small date version has thinner numbers and the number 8 in the date sits higher and more level with the top of the 9. Next, weigh your coin carefully. If it weighs around 3.1 grams, you may have a copper penny. If it weighs closer to 2.5 grams, it's zinc. And remember, every genuine 1982 D small date copper penny ever found would likely be worth life-changing money. Even regular 1982 pennies can have some value if they are in pristine condition or have unique die. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern coins ever minted in the United States, the 1996 D Lincoln penny, a coin that most people see every day but few realize could be worth a fortune. Yes, you heard that right. Some rare examples of the 1996 D penny have been valued at over $4 million in private collections and auctions. Let's start with the history of this small but powerful coin. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of symbolic imagery. The design was created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB can still be seen on many early coins through the decades. The Lincoln penny has changed metal composition, design details and mint marks, but the 1996 D penny stands out for several fascinating reasons. The letter D stands for the Denver Mint, located in Colorado. In 1996, the U.S. Mint produced billions of these Coins specifically over 6 billion Lincoln cents were struck at the Denver facility that year. Most of these coins were made from a copper-plated zinc composition consisting of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. Each weighs 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. On the front or obverse you'll see the bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right with the words "In God We Trust" above his head, Liberty on the left, and the date 1996 to the right with the small d mint mark below it. On the back or reverse side is the image of the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo, which replaced the wheat ears design in 1959. Now you might be wondering how a coin that was minted by the billions could possibly be worth millions. The answer lies in the world of rare mint errors and pristine conditions among collectors. Certain 1996 D pennies have been discovered with striking errors that make them incredibly valuable. For example, some coins were struck on a bronze planchet instead of the standard zinc one. Others have double die obverse errors where details on Lincoln's face or the inscriptions show visible doubling under magnification. These errors can multiply the coin's value by thousands or even millions of times depending on rarity and condition. One of the most mysterious cases involves a reported 1996 D penny that was mistakenly struck on a solid copper planchet from pre-1982 metal stock. Experts believe that a leftover copper blank may have been mixed into a batch of zinc planchets during minting. Because of this, the coin weighs 3.1 grams instead of the standard 2.5. Only a handful of these are believed to exist, and collectors have offered incredible sums for verified examples. In a private sale, one such penny was rumored to have fetched as much as $4 million, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold. Another factor that adds value is the coin's grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by the Professional Coin Grading Service or PCGS. A coin that has never been circulated and shows nowhere can receive a mint state grade such as MS68 or even MS69 in high mint state condition. The 1996 D penny can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $1,000s even without an error, but when you combine a flawless grade with a rare minting mistake, the value can skyrocket to astronomical levels. So what should you look for if you have a handful of old pennies? First, check the weight using a sensitive digital scale. If your 1996 D penny weighs around 3.1 grams, it may be a copper planchet error. Next, inspect the coin under magnification for any doubling on Lincoln's eye, mouth, or the letters "In Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Also look for off-center strikes or missing details on the reverse. These can all indicate rare minting mistakes that collectors pay huge premiums for. Even regular 1996 D pennies can still be worth more than face value if they are in exceptional condition. Uncirculated examples in original rolls or mint sets can sell for a few dollars each, and if your coin is graded by a professional service with a high mint state rating, it can easily bring in several $100s from collectors building registry sets. The story of the 1996 D penny reminds us that valuable treasures can often be found in the most ordinary places. A small coin in your pocket change might just be worth a life-changing sum of money. Thousands of people across the country are now checking their jars of pennies, searching for that one rare piece that could be worth millions. It's a modern-day treasure hunt, and anyone can take part. Before we wrap up, let's quickly summarize the key points. The 1996 D Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint with a zinc composition. However, some rare examples were struck on leftover copper planchets, making them incredibly valuable. Look for errors such as double dies, off center strikes, or wrong planchet weights. Coins in top mint state condition can sell for thousands, and the rarest of all have reached values as high as $4 million. So the next time you get a handful of change from the store, take a close look at your pennies. You might just be holding one of the most valuable coins of modern times. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting stories and hidden treasures from history. Thanks for watching, and good luck hunting for your own 1996 D Lincoln penny that could make you a millionaire.